Well, that was definitely a road trip everyone would like to forget. The last 8 games away from Citizens Bank Park were the kind of memories you fold up nicely, seal really tight, and place in a dark corner of the basement not expecting to see again for a long time. 8 games, 8 losses. A lopsided home run affair in Baltimore. And thanks to this great game of baseball, it restarts with a clean slate as each new day arrives. It's great to be back home at Citizens Bank Park as the Phillies once again will face the Baltimore Orioles and hope that they don't have what happened last night happen again here at home. It's game 1 of a 2-game series and game 3 this week between the Phils and the Baltimore Orioles. All right, a little bit of a synopsis of the last 2 games. The Orioles offense, on fire. 23 runs, including 19 last night, a .328 batting average, 8 home runs last night, 9 overall. Phillies offense, well, not so much, but that was the case for most of the road trip. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis as we get set for tonight's ball game. The Phillies are hoping for a little offense, obviously, but they're also hoping for Kevin Correa to kind of duplicate what he did in his first outing in a Phillies uniform.
They desperately need him to do that again. He did a tremendous job in his outing against Pittsburgh, and we really didn't know what to expect out of Kevin Correa, but he did a very, very good job. The thing that I like the most, he kept the ball down. He did elevate when he needed to, when it was planned, but for the most part, he was down the zone, got a lot of ground balls, got some double plays when he needed them.
47% of the pitches that he threw were cutters, so you can basically say cutter, cutter, and even more cutters, but the staff has been challenged, obviously, since the 23rd of May. We've been updating these numbers. 0-13 with an earned run average of 5.99, and during that stretch, the Phillies as a team are 3-18.
And they haven't done a very good job of getting late into ball games. That's something they need to do, with the exception of Cole Hamels, who had a rough game in Cincinnati. Aaron Harang had a tough one the other night in Baltimore. With the exception of those two, the other 3 stars really need to step it up, and hopefully Kevin Correa can do that tonight.
All right, well, the Phillies will face Ubaldo Jimenez, the veteran right-hander who they saw an awful lot when he was with the Colorado Rockies. So let's take a look at Ubaldo Jimenez's numbers. He's essentially a .500 pitcher for a good part of his career.
He was an all-star back in 2010, but you know what you're going to get out of him. You're going to get a lot of sinkers. You just have to make sure you elevate the baseball when he's pitching. He will dare you to just beat the ball on the ground time and time again. He will mix in some breaking balls, has a decent curveball, but for the most part, you have to make sure that he elevates that sinker.
And the other pitch that has really helped him this year has been his splitter, so we'll probably see that from time to time in tonight's ball game. So it is game 3 of this week-long series against the Baltimore Orioles. Game 1 here at home. The players all ready to go, hopefully getting themselves stretched out for some opportunities. That guy right there, he's not going to play a whole lot tonight. Lineups and first pitch when we return. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. By Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyattoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. By Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. By Citizens Bank, one deposit checking. Keeping things simple is helping you bank better. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. To the mound to start tonight's ball game. Quick 2-game series against the Orioles after 2 games down in Baltimore. Let's take a look at the O's starting lineup, brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Machado leads it off at third base, then Travis Snider and Chris Parmelee. Chris Davis, the first baseman, bats cleanup. Matt Wieters, the catcher, hits fifth. J.J. Hardy bats sixth. In the bottom third of Flaherty, Lowe, and Ubaldo Jimenez. They will face 34-year-old right-hander Kevin Correa, who went 5 2/3 in his only outing for the Phillies against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He is a .500 pitcher in interleague games. I actually thought he looked really good the other day, Ben. I thought his the movement was excellent, and I think when you're facing a team like the Orioles, you need that kind of movement.
You do, and as we take a look at the Budweiser scouting report, he will sit at 90, just about 90 miles an hour with his fastball. Pretty good record against the O's, so hopefully he can duplicate that, but he needs to stay down. He obviously watched what happened last night. Obviously, keep the ball down, you have a little more success, and that's our Budweiser scouting report. Keys to the game: keep the ball in the yard. 8 homers last night. Not what the doctor ordered. Keep the ball in the yard for the Orioles and get to him and his teammates. See what I'm doing there, Tom?
I got you.
I need to get to Ubaldo Jimenez and hopefully some of his teammates tonight and have a big night offensively.
Well, that's all part of our Nissan keys to tonight's ball game. Here comes Manny Machado strolling to the plate. Phillies are going to try to avoid having happen what he did last night in the first inning, and that's blast one of his 2 home runs into the seats in left field. So we're about ready to go. The Phillies will be home throughout the weekend, taking on the Cardinals, then the 3-game trip up to New York to take on the Yankees, and then back home again. And Ryan Sandberg is hoping that combination will put them back on at least the right path. Manny Machado hitting .290 with 13 home runs. First pitch is outside, so we're underway, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Orioles come in 33-31. They're 2 games back in the American League East, tied for third. Tampa Bay Rays have taken over the top spot in the American League East. Outside again, so 3-0. Machado 3 for 7 in the 2 games against the Phillies at Camden Yards, and 2 of those 3 hits, home runs. There's Travis Snider. He had a nice night last night. Well, the heck, they all had nice nights for the Orioles last night.
Caleb Joseph, the exception. The only one not to get a hit, but he did reach base a couple times.
Is that why he's not starting tonight?
Well, I think the one off his elbow may have hurt him.
3 balls, 1 strike to Machado. Off the end of the bat, that'll roll foul, and it's 3-2. Well, here they are. Very different personalities, these home runs.
They were. This was a fastball. Supposed to be a sinker, but it was up. It was in, but it was up. Pulls his hands in. This is the one I was very impressed with. A little slider down and away, and he just stays to it and golfs it out to center field.
High chopper to third, and it's gathered by Franco, 1 away.
Nice job by Kevin coming back, going 3-0 to Machado lead off the game. He's probably a little tight out on the mound after the extended version of the national anthem, Tom.
It was a very long one. Everybody has a different way of doing it. I think the best one that we heard on the road trip was the kid with the trumpet.
Awesome.
That was probably the best one.
It's the first night in Baltimore, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Travis Snider's the batter, .262, a home run, 16 RBIs. And that one's in there. It's 0-1. Snider playing left field tonight. The outfield for the Orioles consists of Snider in left, Lowe in center, and Parmelee around in right field. Adam Jones not starting for a 2nd consecutive night, as that one is pulled to Dominic Brown. Well, there are 2 outs. During the 2015 season, Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the Phillies, will contribute $100 for each Phillies victory And 5 cents for each carton of Phillies Graham Slam ice cream, sold to support the Phillies youth baseball and softball programs. This is the spot where Adam Jones would normally be hitting for the Orioles, but he's got a little bit of an issue with his shoulder. And the term overall soreness was used. That ball is hit well deep to right center field. And here we go again. Parmalee with his 3rd home run in 2 nights. 1-0 Baltimore.
This guy's in AAA 2 days ago. Now he's batting 3rd. And like you said, goes up top for the 3rd time. So that makes him 5 for his first 7, I should say. 5 for his first 7. The only 2 outs he made were against Jeff Francoeur.
Boy, he crushed it. That was right down in his wheelhouse.
It was in a lot of people's wheelhouse, I believe.
Well, that is home run number 80 on the year for the O's. So 1-0 Baltimore. And here's Chris Davis. He hit the longest of the home runs last night. Takes on the outside corner. It's 0-1. That home run he hit last night, the 4th he's hit against the Phillies in his career. Oh, 0-2. Swing and a miss. Davis is struck out. Side is retired. But the Orioles strike first. They get a solo home run from Chris Parmalee against Kevin Correa. We'll head to the bottom of the 1st inning. It's Baltimore 1 and the Phillies coming up. Hope to jumpstart this offense. Let's take a look at the Phillies lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll be Revere, Utley, and Franco, followed by Ryan Howard, Dominic Brown, and Cameron Rupp. In the bottom third, Avashi, Galvis, and Kevin Correa. They will face veteran right-hander Ubaldo Jimenez. 4-3 this year, and a decent ERA at 3.19. He's won 92 games during his major league career, and a guy the Phillies have seen quite often from his days with the Colorado Rockies.
As we take a look at his Budweiser scouting report, 89 to 92, will mostly sit right about 90. Good sinker, big curveball, like you said. The splitter has been a pitch that's really been effective for him this year, but he has had a bad time against the Phillies. So hopefully they can keep that going.
Well, Ben Revere will lead it off, and the first pitch to Revere. And it's 0-1. It's in on the inside corner. He's always been all arms and legs. In fact, when he was younger and he threw mid-90s, sometimes it was tough to pick the baseball up as it was coming out.
Very tough to pick up. Kind of like a Rick Sutcliffe. How Sut used to hold the ball behind his back, behind his rear, and it just gets on you.
That one is slapped to the left side, taken on a hop by Hardy. His low throw dug out by Chris Davis, and there's one away. Well, that'll bring Chase Utley to the plate. Utley was 2 for 25 on that road trip. As you see Revere limping out from that play. He went into the first base bag awkwardly. Well, Murph, Ryan Sandberg was trying to look on the bright side today, saying, all right, well, it's good to be home. We've played well at home. Maybe that'll change our luck offensively.
Yeah, you know, Tom, as we all know, it's very nice to get back home after a nice long road trip, but maybe never more so than coming off of this particular road trip. Everybody knows the story, 0-8, and runs were tough to come by. They got 4 in that first game in Cincinnati in the loss, and then you see 2-2-0. 3-0-0 again. You got the 2 13-inning games in there, and then of course 0-3 to finish up in the loss last night, in the lopsided loss last night. And as has been documented, the first time that the Phils have lost 8 games on a road trip, all 8 games on a road trip since 1883, their first year in existence. So everybody is glad to be home. Ryan Sandberg is glad to be home. I talked to many of the players who are also glad to be back here at Citizens Bank Park. Here's hoping it changes their luck.
Well, speaking of luck, we've got our green shirts on. We're trying to get a little luck of the Irish here tonight.
We are doing our part.
Yeah, we are.
And it is the 17th of June. And Murph, what day is that?
It's St. Practice Day.
So every month, every 17th of 17th of July, 17th of August, we're going to wear green.
Let's do it.
All
yeah,
right.
Takes a lot of practice.
If it works tonight, then we'll do it. 0-2 pitch to Utley. He hits it the other way off the end of the bat. That's going to drop for a hit. A 1-out single. So Ubaldo Jimenez, who has pitched for the Rockies and the Indians, besides pitching here for the Orioles, will now face Maikel Franco. Franco 274 with 7 home runs and 18 runs batted in. Hit a home run in yesterday's ball game. Buck Showalter was kind of at a loss last night after the game. He said, you know, it's hard to tell guys not to try. You know, when he was talking about the home runs and all of the runs and the 2 innings of working against Jeff Francoeur. He said out of all of it, he was probably the proudest out of Chris Tillman, his starting pitcher. 1-0 pitch. Popped up left side. Manny Machado looks to see where Utley is and where Franco is, and he makes the catch. So 2 outs.
At the end of the year, they're your numbers on the back of the bubblegum card. They're your numbers. The better numbers you have, obviously, that, you know, this is a profession for these guys. They're not going to give away at bats. You know, sometimes you give away at bats. You don't want to give away at bats when you get blown out. But conversely, if you have a big lead, you still don't want to give away at bats. That's your job. That's your profession. That's your craft. You go about it the same way regardless of the score.
Chase Utley at first. Ryan Howard's the hitter. Howard hitting .229 with 11 home runs, 28 runs batted in. First pitch is over. It's 0-1. Two. Last 3 games for Jimenez, he's allowed 6 earned runs in 16 innings of work. Last time he pitched here in this ballpark was back in July of 2010. Outside, 1-2. Runner goes. Pitch is taken up high. Throw to second by Wieters. Hits Utley and squibs into shallow left center field, and Utley's going to go to third. So a stolen base, and they'll charge an error to Wieters. Third stolen base for Chase. And he's at third.
It's a tough one to give to Wieters. I mean, the ball is there. It is a little bit towards the first base side, but if Hardy holds on to that ball, Chase would be out, but very heads-up base running by Chase. knowing no one's in the vicinity. It's a tough play.
Well, you have better eyes than I do. I didn't even realize that Hardy got a glove on him.
Yeah.
And Howard rolls over on one foul. It remains 2-2. Well, here are the numbers for Jimenez against the Phils. 07, 6 earned runs. 08, 7 earned runs. And his last start here,
six walks in 2 innings in that first outing.
Off the glove of Wieters, back toward the screen, and Utley will score standing. One nothing Phillies on top here in the bottom of the first. This will be 1-1.
That's called manufacturing a run, isn't it? Boy, I'll tell you.
Well, they've scored at a wild pitch. Howard goes down on strike. Side is retired, but the Phillies have tied the ball game up. Chase Utley singles, steals second, goes to third on an error by the catcher, and then scores on a wild pitch. It's a 1-1 game as we go to the second. Pre-game antics as seen with Periscope before the Phillies game. Follow the fun on Bob on TSN on Twitter and join the conversation using hashtag FanaticScope. So again, follow the fun on Bob on TCN on Twitter. Join the conversation using hashtag FanaticScope. Fanatic was a guest on Breakfast on Broad, so now he's made friends with everyone. As we start the second, it's a 1-1 game. Matt Wieters will lead it off. Wieters hitting .333, 2 home runs, 7 runs batted in. And a curveball pulled down the right field line. That is a fair ball. It kicks up some chalk and heads down to the corner. Wieters doesn't run all that well, so he will stop at second. And that's his 4th double since coming off the disabled list.
Not often will you get jammed on a breaking ball, but that's exactly what Matt Wieters does. The ball is elevated. That's what enables him to hit it down the right field line, get the ball actually elevated off his bat. You see here a breaking ball. Sometimes you'll see that a hanger and you get real big with your swing and you end up jamming yourself because your bat slows down.
Here's J.J. Hardy. He's hit 9 consecutive games for the Orioles. Overall hitting .234 with 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in. A lot of this year has been spent struggling for J.J. Hardy. He's sort of altered his stance from past years. He's a little more upright. His hands are closer to his body. And all of these adjustments have helped during this 9-game hitting streak. That one's out towards center field. Revere will make the catch. Tagging from second is Wieters. The throw by Revere is in time. In the air for Ben Revere. The 5th outfield assist of the season for the Phillies outfielder.
The best thing Ben Revere does here is he gets behind the baseball. He doesn't catch it flat-footed. He gets to it. See how he gets momentum going towards third base? He just didn't stand flat-footed, catch it, and try and unload. Very accurate throw. Watch him come in on the baseball right there. Boom. He gets that momentum going, gets some air underneath it, throws out Matt Wieters. I give Matt Wieters credit. That's a smart play. Hey, if you get thrown out, you get thrown out. But being a catcher helped. But it's a great throw by Ben Revere.
Flaherty takes outside 1-0. The other part of it too is that for Ben, I think he recognized who was running, and he didn't have to rush himself. You know, he was able to do everything that you said, sort of get himself set, get his weight behind him. To the right side, Utley to his left is there, and the side is retired. So after the leadoff double, they're able to get a double play to help Kevin Correa through the second. Ben Revere with the outfield assist will go to the bottom of the second inning here in Philly. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Budweiser is still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Dominic Brown will lead things off. His first glimpse at this ballpark since last year. He came up while the Phils were on the road. Was 2 for 4 in last night's game. Had 2 hits. Those 2 hits were the only 2 hits he had in his 2 ball games on the road. One ball, no strikes to Brown. Outside 2-0. That one's out to shallow right field, and Flaherty is under it. He was playing him to pull. That was the alignment they had last night. Well, this Friday is 1960s retro night. We are turning back the clocks to the late 60s. Vintage music, some tie-dye t-shirts. Phillies and Cardinals wear the 1960s era uniforms. It's all part of the Cardinals weekends, the 19th to the 21st. I guess that's the 60s as you get. Don Money is scheduled to be here to throw out the first pitch and also sign some autographs. As Cameron Rupp will take a strike, it's 0-1. In fact, Don Money will be signing autographs from 6 until 6:20 at the Phillies Authentic Shop. Those tie-dye T-shirts will be used as a giveaway. Some peace necklaces as well. Scott Brenner is looking very colorful out there right now. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss, and there are 2 outs. Second strikeout for Jimenez.
There's that splitter we're talking about. Straight down. Comes out of his hand as a fastball. That's why it's called a split finger fastball. See it come out. You see the split grip on his fingers there. It comes out hot, and then the bottom just drops out of it.
Kodiashi lifts that one toward foul territory down the right field line. Davis, the first baseman, gives way to Flaherty, who goes into the crowd and makes the catch. That's a heck of a play by the Orioles second baseman, and excellent communication. And the side is retired in order. Right there, Flaherty says, "I got it," to Chris Davis, who peels off. And that advertising sign met its match as Ryan Flaherty was able to reel it in. .com. Go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Ben, here's the question. Who is the MVP in the 1970 World Series that the Orioles won 4-1 over the Cincinnati Reds? Did you stay up and watch that or listen to it?
MVP 1970.
Answer will be revealed a little later on. David Lowe will lead things off against Kevin Correa. Lowe hitting .231 with 3 homers and 6 RBIs, and he takes down Lowe. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Maikel Franco is in on the grass at third. Lowe hits it right toward Franco, who gobbles it up. Great reactions, 1 out.
Very quick footwork right there by Maikel. Ranging to his left. Tell you what, I really enjoy watching this man throw the baseball. Does a quick little step to his left, gathers himself, and it's so free and easy. And the thing that amazes me about the way he throws the baseball, a lot of guys when they throw Laredo like that, or 3/4, sideways, whatever you want to call it, a lot of time the ball will sail. His ball stays true right through Ryan Howard's chest. You know, it's not the way you teach youngins to throw a baseball. You know, you want to say get on top, create that backspin with your fingers. You get extra carry on the ball, but he does it Laredo style, but the ball still stays true.
And everything that we were told about when he gets into bad habits and it sails a little bit, we haven't seen it as often. You know, I know they remind him of it all the time, but we haven't seen it as often.
When it does sail, he gets down even lower.
No balls and 2 strikes to Jimenez, a 112 hitter during his career. Outside, 1-2. Jimenez is a strikeout victim. Second one for Correa. He wasn't fooling around with him right there.
Why would you? You know, if you're a starting pitcher, you're thinking to yourself, man, this ball club just hit 8 home runs. Do I have enough stuff to get these guys out? Yes, they are hot, and we'll look at some numbers later in the game, but they are extremely hot. 8 home runs, like, do I have enough? You still have to believe in yourself. Just think, hey, that was an anomaly. That's just something that happened. 8 home runs is obviously not going to happen again. At least you hope it doesn't happen again. But you know, you still have to trust your stuff, trust the scouting reports, and how you're going to approach them.
1 ball and no strikes to Machado. Machado chopped out to Franco his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. Off the end of the bat. And another easy inning for Kevin Correa. So 1-2-3 inning this time as he takes care of the O's. A lot happening going on in Ashburn Alley when you stroll around. And also for the Randolph family. That's right. That is Cornelius Randolph, the Phillies' #1 pick here in 2015. And he officially is signed, sealed, and delivered. Look at that, getting a chance to meet Cole Hamels, Chase Utley. He and his family were both on the field. Ryan Howard came over to chat for a little while. In fact, Cornelius, you talked to Ryan Howard a couple different times. There's Ryan Sandberg, Ben Revere. And it must have been a whirlwind to not only be here in Philadelphia, but also get a chance to enjoy it with your family. Welcome to Philadelphia. Congratulations on your selection.
Thank you.
And getting things started. You feeling ready?
I am ready. I'm very excited.
This had to be, I mean, Ben was a #2 pick overall.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. Long time ago. But for you guys, I mean, when did you think, all right, I can go in the first round at some points?
It really didn't happen until like the beginning of school ball. That's when I started seeing that I can go first round. Yeah, so it happened all pretty quickly.
Did you feel any pressure at all when you were playing school ball, thinking that?
I didn't. I had a couple guys talk to me. They told me just play how you normally play because they didn't come to see you change. So it was like when all these scouts started showing up, just be yourself.
Well, you're from the Atlanta area, and I'm sure, as everybody knows, Jeff Francoeur is from that area, and he reminds us all the time that it is a baseball hotbed down in the Atlanta area.
It is. It is. The competition is crazy.
Is it?
It is.
Well, here's Freddy Galvis to lead things off here in the bottom of the third inning in a 1-1 ball game.
What do you think of this ballpark?
I love it. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
What about this whole day? What was this experience like? I mean, is this something that's something you always dreamed about?
It is. It's just unbelievable. I'm loving it, honestly.
What about your family? What are they thinking about this whole thing?
They're all just still. I don't think they still believe it. Like, everything's just happening. So yeah, it's pretty great.
I want to know: are they going to let you hit? Are they going to let you take some swings here?
I don't think so. Chase Utley actually talked to me about it earlier, but I don't think I'm gonna actually swing.
Well, here's Kevin Correa who takes a strike. It's 0-1. Well, fans know you're an infielder by trade.
Right.
You have played the outfield. I know you're leaving tomorrow to go to Clearwater, and they're going to give you an outfielder's glove and say, Cornelius, go get him. Are you looking forward to that challenge?
I am. I think I'll be able to adapt. So I'm just ready to get out here and just play hard. So that's the goal.
I think the question that was asked to you today was about making the transition. You said, you know what, wherever I fit in is where I want to be, which is a great way to handle it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, I'm just going to go out there and control what I can control, hit the ball, play hard in the field, hustle. So those things I feel like would take me a long way.
And leave humility at the door. But what would you say is your best attribute as a baseball player? Is it hitting? Is it fielding? Hitting.
Hitting.
You like to hit?
I love to hit.
Is there any better feeling? I tell you.
There's not.
Well, there's been different folks that have been talking about what you did this year, 526, 7 home runs, and they've been comparing you to all these different people. I mean, have you read those comparisons? Have you looked at that and said, really? Tony Gwynn?
I've seen Tony Gwynn. I've seen Robinson Cano. I mean, I've looked at them, but I mean, I try not to keep that in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I try to just keep doing what I'm doing. So I don't try to change the swing anyway. So, yeah.
What about today? Who was the most excited that you were to meet? Was there one guy that stood out?
Ryan Howard.
Yeah.
Ryan Howard. When I was younger, we went to the Phillies game, Philly versus Braves, because, I mean, at Turner Field. That's a hit right there.
Yes, it is. Ben Revere.
But, yeah, Ryan Howard, when we were younger, when I was younger, we went to the Phillies versus Braves game, and I was just so excited to see Ryan Howard play. And now to actually meet him, it's just crazy.
Now, when you get to the big leagues and you become an all-star and MVP, all this, you have to promise me and Tom and myself, that you will remain as nice as Ryan Howard. He is a gentleman. He's a great guy.
He's a cool guy.
Yep.
He's very cool.
Yeah, I said to you talked to him a couple different times. He came over when you were on the first base side and then over on the third base side when you were with your family. It's the kind of guy he is. I mean, if he's a tremendous person to be around and to talk to. And, you know, he's a college guy who was drafted by the Phillies, and he can probably lend a lot of advice to you as a young ball player, too.
His main thing was just to stay hungry. Stay hungry, keep working hard. He was like, the talent got you, and the talent got you drafted where you drafted. So that means you have the ability to just keep working hard. Keep having that hunger, that fire in you.
There goes Ben Revere. And Revere is going to swipe second base. Tell us about your speed, Cornelius. I mean, are you quick like Ben Revere? Can you steal bags like that?
Not like Ben Revere. I can run, though. I can run. I think he might be a little faster, though.
Well, he got a great jump. You'll admit that, didn't you?
He did.
Well, he's at second with his 16th stolen base of the season. What is the one thing that you're looking forward to when you get to Florida? Is there anything that, I mean, you're going to be playing baseball all the time. That's all you're going to be doing is playing baseball.
That's what I'm looking forward to, playing baseball. That's what I'm looking forward to, getting out there, competing. So.
And have they given you an idea of what you're going to do? I mean, besides going down and working on the outfield and getting some swings in initially, have they told you what you're going to do this year?
They haven't. They just said wherever they feel that I need to be, that's where they're going to put me. So I don't really know everything about that yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure like a lot of kids in this day and age, you've played a lot of games around different parts of the country. Wait till you see Clearwater. I mean, it is the complex, everything about it. You think this is great? I mean, it's equally as impressive down there in Clearwater. You're going to like it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've actually never been to Clearwater. I've been to Fort Myers, but.
Fly ball down the left field line. Travis Snyder is there, and he makes the catch. And this side is retired. Cornelius, we hope we're calling your games for a long time, my man.
Sir.
Really appreciate you coming up and joining us.
Enjoy it.
All right, Cornelius Randolph, the Phillies' #1 pick, our guest up here in the booth. We're going to go let him enjoy the rest of the night with his family. Another Jeff now or visit jefferson.edu. Buy Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop Nissan.com and buy Budweiser. Still brewed the hard way. This Bud's for you. Top of the 4th inning, the Orioles won, the Phillies won. And Travis Snyder will lead things off. Do you remember the day you signed and what that was like?
I do.
Did you go out to San Diego, do the whole press conference?
I did. The thing I remember the most was Pedro Martinez pitched 10 perfect innings with the Expos. 10 perfect innings. No, I remember everything. That's why I asked him if he took BP. They let me take BP. It was great.
Was the ball flying at a Qualcomm that day?
I did hit a couple out, I believe.
That one's under the glove of Freddy Galvis, and Snyder is safe at first.
But they flew our whole family out. And it was just a wonderful day. Freddie gets kind of caught in between. He didn't know whether to backhand that ball or come through it. Chose to play it in front of him. Maybe you've been better off maybe going to his backhand, planning. Snyder doesn't run all that well. He kind of got his glove hand in an awkward position there.
Well, here's Chris Parmelee, who homered his last time up, and it seems like that's all he does is homer. Down at AAA, Parmelee had 6 home runs, 32 RBIs, a .312 batting average. 0-1. Upstairs, 1 ball, 1 strike. Swing and a miss. 1-2. Parmelee is a former #1 pick by the Minnesota Twins back in 2006. He spent 4 years, I guess you could say parts of 4 years, but he was up for a good portion of that time with Minnesota. And like Kevin Correa, he had an opt-out clause. You know, Correa had an opt-out with the Giants June 1st and July 1st, and he chose to opt out and sign with the Phils. Parmelee was kind of in that same boat And that's why the Orioles brought him up for last night's ball game. By the way, we wondered about Wei-Yin Chen, about whether he would be upset about being sent down. Well, he was. We didn't really find it out until today. But Parmelee took his spot. Wei-Yin Chen pitched so well against the Phillies in Game 1. And now they're going to basically ease him back onto the roster. In the dirt, 3-2.
Yeah, the whole business about him not doing well after an extended start where he throws deeper into ball games. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. It's dumb, in my opinion. Honestly, it's dumb. He's a big league pitcher who just threw 8 shutout innings.
And as you said, did it with relative ease. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Parmelee. Runner goes, pitches hit foul. Runner goes again, pitches high, ball 4, and that'll put runners on first and second with nobody out. Pulling a doubleheader at the office, look no further than W.B. Mason's wide selection of Green Mountain Coffee K-Cup pods to keep you running. Order by 11:30 and get free same-day delivery. Who but W.B. Mason? Well, the error and now a walk, and you've got the best home run hitter they have, and Chris Davis coming up. He struck out his first time up.
This is where having runners on base in front of Chris Davis, much like having runners on base in front of Ryan Howard, eliminates that shift. So defensively, the Phillies pretty much have to play straight up.
Correa having himself a little bit of a command issue here.
You have to tell yourself as a pitcher, hey, I'm 1 pitch away from a double play. I'm a man on third with 2 outs. I'll take my chances from there. You're 1 pitch away from a DP.
That one's hooked out toward right field. Dominic Brown gets to the track to make the catch. The throw goes to second base, and Snyder goes to third. So 1 out, and you can basically look at it the same way here with Matt Wieters coming up. But now maybe you're 1 pitch away, if you roll a double play ball, getting out of the inning.
Yeah. Same mindset.
Wieters takes a strike, and it's 0-1. So the runners taking their lead off first and third.
Is it me, Tom, or not as many cutters out of Kevin tonight?
Definitely not as many cutters. Although, if you look at his numbers the last couple of years, and he struggled last season, so maybe that's not the right place to look. He threw way more cutters his last outing than he did, let's say, last year on average. But I was with you. I thought that the more cutters against this team would be beneficial for him.
I've seen a lot more two-seamers out of Kevin tonight.
One ball and 2 strikes. Down the left field line. It'll peak from high above. See the Harry the K statue right at the bottom there. And a line drive base hit it to center field. Snyder will score. Stopping at second is Parmalee. It'll be an RBI single for Matt Wieters, who now has doubled and singled in this game. And the Orioles are on top 2-1. Well, that goes down as an unearned run because the error charged to Freddy Galvis.
Goes with a changeup there. Wieters does a good job of staying through it, not trying to pull off that ball, and he pulls off that pitch right there. It is a 4.63 all day long.
Outside, 1-0. J.J. Hardy flying out to center field his first time up. They were able to double up Wieters on that fly ball. That's a floater out to right, a base hit, rounding third and being held there is Parmalee. So now the bases are loaded. Really good strong throw by Dominic Brown. And Bobby Dickerson was not going to take a chance, the third base coach for the Orioles. So that's now a 10-game hitting streak for J.J. Hardy. And Ryan Flaherty will be the hitter.
A much different stance for J.J. Hardy. He used to have a real flat bat in his stance, real flat bat through the zone. But he's definitely more upright. Bat's a little bit taller over his head. Whatever it is, it's working. See how he gets his bat centered right there. Boom. Really pulls the knob through his body.
Flaherty grounded out to Utley his first time up. Still one man down. One run is in here in the top of the fourth. And he pops it foul. It's 0-1. At the plate, no balls and 2 strikes. Correa in interleague games is 10-10 with an ERA of 4. There have been 4 years during his career where he has won double digits. And of course, was an all-star, as we mentioned, when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's up to 49 pitches. This will be number 50 with 1 out here in the fourth.
he could find a way to induce that double play. Still, that pitch count very serviceable.
Absolutely. He got him with a curveball. Boy, he's tried to go to that curveball a lot tonight, and he picks up his third strikeout of the evening. So 1 out away from minimizing the damage here in the 4th inning.
And he has spiked a few of these into the dirt, but that's a good tight breaking ball there. It's Flaherty to go fishing.
And now David Lowe, who grounded out to Maikel Franco his first time up, will be the hitter.
If David has some fans here from Mercyhurst College. Sure, he's got a few.
Foul tip, and it's 1-1.
That was the same changeup he threw Matt Wieters earlier in this inning. That one just had a little more depth on it, a little more tilt. Still around the same speed. If you get that one going in, that cutter in hard on lefties, you will have some success. Kind of like that.
That's a good pitch right there. Now, is that the cutter or is that too senior right there?
I thought that was a cutter.
Yeah, I did too. Just the way the break was.
Yeah.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. An unearned run is in. So if he goes back to that curveball here. He does. A ground ball foul.
That one not as sharp as the one he threw Flaherty. But the location was good. It was still down. See, this one just kind of rolls up there. The one he threw Flaherty had bite, late bite. I'd double up, go back foot again right here.
Pitches in this inning. Here comes number 30. He tried to double up again. It was just a little too far outside, and now it's 2-2.
In my opinion, you have 2 options here. Throw that cutter in, or you throw the changeup down and away. If he sees that changeup come out of his hand down and away, he's going to think fastball, especially after 2 off-speed pitches. He's going to think heater, but he'll react to a changeup, be out in front if it's in the right location.
And a line drive toward the gap in right center field. That's in for a base hit. Dominic Brown cuts it off. 2 runs are in. The throw is cut off by Chase Utley. It's a 2-run double for Lowe. It's now 4-1. Orioles on top. Well, 5 hits now for the Orioles, 3 extra base hits.
And he does try and go with that cutter, and you can see the rotation on that pitch just does not get it in far enough. And that's that action pitch we talked about. 2-2. You need to have action on that particular pitch. You don't want to go full count.
Ubaldo Jimenez struck out his first time up. Taps this one up the third base line. Barehanded by Franco. His throw not in time. Another run scores. 5-1. Orioles on top. You might wonder, well, should Franco have let that roll foul? I don't think it was going to go foul. I think it was dying on the grass. And I think he had to make a play and hope that Jimenez wasn't moving up the line.
This ball is going to stay true. And the problem is, if you do let that ball go, Freddy Galvis is not there to back up Maikel Franco. And before you know it, low scoring on that play as well.
Well, Bob McClure out to the mound to talk to Kevin Correa. Manny Machado, who's a real difficult hitter to deal with, is going to be the batter. Although he's got him twice tonight on groundouts. Once to third, once to second. The dirt, and Rupp blocks it. Lowe hangs out at third base. Ubaldo Jimenez really didn't get off the first base bag.
He's trying to conserve some energy right now.
Well, his hit is a big one to extend this inning here and add another run. And a liner out to center. Fortunately, it's right at Ben Revere on the side. He's retired. 9 men come to the plate in the inning. It's a 34-pitch inning for Kevin Correa. He allows 4 runs. We've completed 3.5. We're on to the bottom of the 4th. It's 5-1. Orioles on top. Hurry your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com today. Buy WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy the Quality Plus Ford stores. Go further. Well, 4 unearned runs score for the Orioles in their half of the 4th inning. They lead it 5-1. And now we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. The Phils, well, they've got some ground to make up. And I guess we've been saying that a lot over the last handful of days. You know, they won 6 straight at one point, Ben. All was right in the world, at least for that moment. And they were reaching double digits in hits. And I think everybody was realistic to know that that wasn't going to continue, but at least a semblance of that might. Since that time, the Phillies are 5-20 since that 6-game winning streak. In fact, the last 13 games, and again, they were in last place at this point anyway, but they were 8.5 games back. And now they're 14 games back. And all of that in the last 13 games. So here's Maikel Franco. And he shoots it to the hole on the right side, a base hit. Leadoff single here in the 4th.
Answered back. And again, you don't have to go get all 4 runs this inning. Maybe you get 1, maybe you get 2. Yeah, it'd be great if they could get 4 and tie it up, but just claw your way back into the game somehow.
Well, Ryan Howard, his last time up, struck out swinging. And he takes a curved ball, and he's getting a heavy dose of them here. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Stanley Wiedenhammer of Reading. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and Stanley will win $100.
Good luck, Stanley.
That's because we gave out some cold hard cash in last night's game. That one's pulled down the right field line, and it is a fair ball. One hop off the 330 sign in right field. They'll hold Franco at third, and Ryan Howard pulls into second with his 15th double of the year. All right, that's a good way to answer it back. Maybe get some runs here.
Well, Ryan Howard has a tendency to get to the ball and hook the baseball. This ball does hook, but he stays through it enough where he doesn't yank it foul. He stayed on it and threw it enough to keep the ball fair. Hey, second and third. There's something going here, Tom.
Yep. Dominic Brown, who just missed a ball his last time up, will be the batter.
He sure did. He had a 2-0 count his first at bat. I think he may have just dropped that front shoulder a little bit, tried to hit it over that AT&T sign out in right field. But he had a good one to hit, and he just hit the bottom of it.
Foul tip, and it's 0-1. In the dirt. Now it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Michael Franco hanging out at third. Ryan Howard at second. Ben, before I knew you, like really knew you, I used to think, man, 6'5" behind the plate. That is one tall catcher. Matt Wieters is in the same boat.
Yes, he is. I went down to talk to Matt today and a few of the other guys I was in camp with. He is a big dude.
Now, is he a little more than 6'5", or is he the same height as you are?
I think we're the same height. One thing, and you can look at Matt, and he's a big guy, but one thing I will say that I had going for me, I was very flexible. I could get down really low.
Strike 3 call. Dominic Brown is down looking. That is the 4th strikeout for Ubaldo Jimenez.
There's a front door sinker here. Dominic Brown thinks it's up. I would agree with him. But we see more and more umpires starting to call this pitch. A hard one to swing at.
Well, here's Cameron Rupp, who is not a 6'5" catcher, but is a big guy too. 0-1. So that flexibility helped you think?
Yeah, you know, I was able to get down low. I mean, I literally could get my squat and put my tail on the ground. You know, you see Matt, he's a little bit bigger back there and likes to sit up, presents a little bit of a taller target, I guess you could say.
That one's pulled foul. Miss, and there are 2 outs. Back-to-back strikeouts. Well, here's Cody Ashley. Cody's had a busy day. He was at John Barkley Elementary School today. Now, you remember the Phillies' fantastic auction. Well, a family was able to bid on the opportunity to bring Cody to school. And Cody was there very early today, second to last day of school. He said that was the fun part, doing YMCA. I said, how did it go? He said, well, second to last day of school. Kids' attention span wasn't totally there. He said, it was a lot of fun. He said, I enjoyed it. I said, well, you know what that was like when you were just about ready to wrap things up and head to your summer break. He said, absolutely. He's one of the best guys right there, and I'm sure those kids really enjoyed the opportunity to meet Cody Ashley and to see him. And the Phillies' fantastic auction was a great event once again. Sponsored by WIP and WPHT. So he took some questions from the audience. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Cody. Up high, 2-2. Got to get this run or these runs home here, Ben. Franco at third. He began the inning with a single. Then Ryan Howard doubled. He's at second. And then back-to-back strikeouts. And a call, strike 3. How about that? Ubaldo Jimenez, who's not really a strikeout pitcher, just struck out the last 3 batters with runners on second and third. He has 6 overall, and the Phillies still trail at 5-1. Sure. All right, Ben, here we go. Who was the MVP in the 1970 World Series that the Orioles won 4-1, 4 games to 1 over the Cincinnati Reds?
Tom, I'm just going to throw this one out there because it's really the only one I can think of that was on that team, and that's Brooks Robinson.
Brooks Robinson is correct. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack.
I couldn't think of anyone else on the squad.
Well, there's been some Brooks Robinson sightings here at this ballpark in this past week and down at Camden Yards. Still extremely popular. His number 5. If you ever want to see a third baseman make some plays in a World Series, go Google some of the highlights of the 1970 World Series.
To this day, you compare third baseman. Oh, he's no Brooks Robinson, but that's the name that always comes up.
2-0 pitch to Snyder. And Snyder golfs it deep to right center field. That's going to be a long one. Oh, man. Solo home run. It's now 6-1 in favor of the Orioles. Yeah, that went far. Back of the Phillies bullpen. Well, Murph, Buck Showalter said that they're getting some pop from a number of different guys, and it's part of the reason why they've gotten themselves back in the race to the American League East.
They've gotten themselves back in the race, and yeah, you don't have to tell Phillies fans why, because they are seeing it time and time again over these last 3 games. This team can hit offensively. They are a very talented bunch. They've done some stuff. Take a look at what they were doing before June 3rd. They were just 23 and 29. They were batting .250 as a team, scoring about 4 runs a game, 1 home run per game. The ERA not that great either. But then, since June the 4th, they have really turned it around. It is our T-Mobile game changer. 10-5. They're batting 10-2, batting .299, 6 runs per game. They're hitting 2 home runs on average per game during that time. So they have really turned it around offensively. If this team is going to win, that's how they're going to do it. And they've shown over the last 2 weeks that that they can do it. They've got a lot of guys that are red hot right now, Tom.
Yeah, and guys that obviously aren't household names per se that are adding into the mix, like this guy here who's up for just the 2nd day and has 3 home runs. He scored 2 runs tonight. Last night when he had 2 home runs, he also scored an additional run, so he scored 5 runs in 2 days.
That is making an impact.
I would say so. 1-1 pitch outside, 2-1.
You know what that enables Buck Showalter to do is to play these guys. You have a team that's hot offensively. You can afford to sit Adam Jones if he's a little sore. You know, this is a long season. The more you can rest these guys, the better off you're going to be. As long as the other guys can pick them up, that's what a luxury to have. Heads up, Murph.
Well, unfortunately, Murph was not down there.
Oh, he wasn't?
No. Over the tarp down the left field line, and it remains 3 balls and 2 strikes to Parmalee.
I got to say, when we talk about Brooks Robinson, I must say that Brooks Robinson sat at my kitchen table when I was a senior in high school.
What?
He did.
Why?
The agent I ended up going with, Ron Shapiro, it was called Shapiro Robinson Incorporated. So Ron brought his staff up along with Brooks Robinson. And you tell me that didn't make an impression.
Seriously, what did your dad think?
He was kind of like, "Ooh, this is not really happening."
A couple of the Oriole greats, Jim Palmer, Brooks Robinson. Jim Palmer, 268 wins. 18-time All-Star for Brooks, 16-time Gold Glove winner. Did your mom make dinner for him?
I don't believe so. I think they just came up and we kind of talked about what they do. And
had some snacks and some hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
Chris Davis is 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied to right. I don't think I've ever had anybody that famous at my kitchen table.
Best thing about it was my economics teacher, Mr. Ostick.
Yeah, was he there too?
He was a big fan of Brooks Robinson, so I had a report that I actually had to do on incorporations in an economics class. Econ. So Brooks Robinson got on the tape and said, "Hey, Mr. Ostick, this is Brooks Robinson." Needless to say, I got an A, Tom.
0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Anybody else famous at your table?
I remember.
He's the most famous guy that sat at your table, your mom and dad's kitchen table.
I mean, I don't know how you could get anyone more famous than Brooks Robinson.
I had the Sarge at my kitchen table once. Outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. He turned on that one. And it's 2-2. It's a shallow right field, and Chase Utley's up with it. And there are 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Well, the Xfinity fireworks shows will take place after the games on Wednesday, July 1st and Thursday, July 2nd. It's all part of the Brewers series. Tickets can be purchased for those 2 ball games and for the entire series by going to Phillies.com. Matt Wieters is 2 for 2. He's doubled, he's singled. An RBI and a run scored. Good curve ball, and it's 0-1. Inside with the cutter, 2 balls and 2 strikes. J.J. Hardy on deck. Got him. Went after him upstairs. A foul tip. Strikeout number 4 for Correa. Side is retired. However, the Orioles tack on another one. Travis Snider's 2nd home run of the year. For something other than baseball? Well, how about the Zach Brown concert? That's right, the 2015 Jekyll and Hyde Tour will be here Saturday, August 15th, featuring special guests, the Avett Brothers. For information or to purchase, go to phillies.com/country. Zach Brown, one of the best songwriters in all of country music. And man, has he skyrocketed over the last 5 years. And he puts on an incredible show. And this place, if you've ever been to a concert here at Citizens Bank Park, it is a wonderful venue. Stage out in center field. Freddy Galvis struck out his first time up. Way out front. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Really tying these lefties up with that sinker, front door sinker, 2-seamer that runs in off their belt.
Popped up, shallow center field. Second baseman Ryan Flaherty has it, and 1 out. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Rays lead the Nationals 2-0. Steven Souza Jr. a home run in that ball game. Just like the Phillies were in Baltimore the last couple of days. The Rays and the Nationals were in Tampa the last couple of days. Jedmar Gomez is warming up in the bullpen. And Andres Blanco is coming up to pinch hit. First pitch is a breaking ball inside 1-0. Brian Sandberg was talking today about last night and Jeff Francoeur. And Jeff was talking about how his body felt today. And Jeff said, I'm sore. He said, but it's not a bad sore. He said, I'm just sore. Kind of what you said, Ben, that he used every muscle in his body to throw those 2 innings. Now Correa will probably be a little sore tomorrow after 5 innings tonight.
Using muscles you're not accustomed to using. Yes, you go out and play catch every day, you long toss, you do whatever, you get your arm loose for a game, but it's different muscles, different technique.
Into shallow left field. Snyder makes the catch. Well, this is the 7th inning last night. This is the first inning he pitched. And Reimolds takes on the inside corner. I said, what was that? He said, that was a cutter or slider, as he called it. And then here he had to make sure he was covering on the 3-1 putout.
And gets in Steve Pearson's kitchen.
Now, in the 8th inning, he gave up a home run to Ryan Flaherty. And Ryan Flaherty's teammates were getting on him a little bit, Francoeur was saying, because they were getting on him because he swung at the first pitch. They said you can't jump on somebody who's not a pitcher on the first pitch. Ryan Flaherty said, really? I'm not allowed to do that?
Yeah. Get a homer out of it. I'd be doing it.
That one is slapped to third. And the catch is made. Side is retired. The Phillies go down 1-2-3. We'll go to the top of the 6th inning here in Philadelphia. It's the Orioles 6 and the Phillies 1. back with the big club and making a case for why he belongs. Michael has been hot at the corner with his glove since his return and has defended the left side of the infield with his strong arm. At the plate, he has got into the swing of things in a hurry, and his power has definitely been on display, depositing 4 home runs, 8 extra base hits, and 8 RBIs in the first week of June alone. Franco's contributions are indeed welcomed and are brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, back here at Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies trail at 6-1 as we move to the top of the 6th inning. Tonight is Greek Heritage Night here at Citizens Bank Park. It's also Domestic Violence Awareness Night. And speaking of Greek Heritage Night, the Fanatic has a costume for every night out there. He also has to know a variety of dances. Do you think he knew that dance, or do you think he's making it up on the fly?
You may have learned that on the beaches of the Galapagos Islands.
There's J.J. Hardy to lead things off. Hardy singled and scored his last time up, and then flied out to center his first time up. On the inside corner, it's 0-1 to him. By the way, those dancers were the Olympians from St. Luke's Greek Orthodox Church. Genmar Gomez, the new pitcher for the Phils. He'll take over for Correa. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Gomez, 28th game. 0-1 with a 2.05 earned run average. Two and 1. Ryan Sandberg said last night that when Francoeur was struggling in his second inning of work, he eventually got out of it, and he was throwing a lot of pitches. That one's pulled into left field, a base hit. J.J. Hardy is 2 for 3. That they were going to get Genmar Gomez or Ken Giles up. That's when the whole situation occurred with the phone being off the hook in the bullpen. And Bob McClure went out to the mound. And Chase Utley was not pleased that they were keeping Francoeur in. And Ryan Sandberg said all that was dealt with today. They discussed it with everybody. The phone, and Ruben Amaro even talked about this being off the hook. And they said, you know, obviously that can't happen, and it was addressed and will not happen again. I mean, stuff like that does happen. Yeah, it does. Sometimes the phone goes dead in the bullpens, and that's why you see the tip of the cap or the wave of the white towel. But Francoeur said that he had no problem whatsoever of being out there for those 2 innings. He said his body felt good. He said he enjoyed it. He said he didn't enjoy the loss. He said, in fact, that this was the worst road trip that he's ever been on.
That's what true teammates do. They pick up for their teammates. I mean, it's, you know, when things are struggling, they're ready to jump on a grenade. You know, I mean, it's just what they do.
No balls, 2 strikes, and that's low, 1-2. Well, Francoeur did talk about Chase and how upset he was on the mound. He said, listen, he was just looking out for me.
Yeah.
And I told him I was fine, but he was looking out for me because he didn't want something to happen.
I'm talking with Wieters in there. I said, were you excited to get that at bat in the bottom of the 8th off Francoeur? He goes, that jerk threw me a first pitch knuckleball.
Do you think it was really a knuckleball?
He said it was a knuckleball.
Well, Jeff said that his family enjoyed it. He said his mom and dad were watching down in Florida. They had a bunch of friends over, and they got a kick out of it. Obviously didn't get a kick out of the score, but got a kick out of their son being in a major league game pitching. 2-2 pitch on the inside corner, 1 away. He gets Flaherty looking.
I guess that was the first time the Tampa Bay Devil Rays used 2 position players
yesterday.
To pitch in the game. So that was the first time in Major League history that 3 position players pitched in the game.
Oh, really? On one night?
On one night.
2 different games, obviously.
Yes.
Murph, what did Pap say about the efforts of Jeff Francoeur?
Well, I didn't talk to Pap about it. I was talking to Jeff last night on our way back into Philadelphia, and he was. I said to him, we had shown a shot of Pap kind of working with him before he came into the game. I said, what was that all about? And he said it looked to me like he was working on your leg kick. And he said, yeah. He said, when I got into the bullpen, I threw a couple sliders, is what he was calling them, and he said, but they were terrible. They were in the dirt, and they were all over the place. And so Pap and some of the guys down there said, I think you're opening up your leg, and so they're working on his leg kick, and then he started throwing some pretty good ones. So Pap was helping out. Pap was being a little bit of a pitching coach and trying to help out. And the bottom line was Francoeur was trying to help out, trying to save that bullpen, and keep them from having to come into a game of that, like that. And so the guys in the bullpen certainly appreciate that, Kenny Giles and Jonathan Papelbon, and they had certainly enjoyed the performance as well.
1 ball and 1 strike to David Lowe. That one's out to center field. Ben Revere will get under it. He makes the catch. 2 outs. Well, this Sunday when the Phillies take on the Cardinals at 1:35, it's Father's Appreciation Day. In 1960s, Phillies cap compliments of Chevrolet will be given out to men 15 and older. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Here's Ubaldo Jimenez with a 5-run lead, getting a chance to bat for the 3rd time. He had an RBI infield single his last time up. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Swing straight over top of that?
I believe he did. But Matt, if he made contact, he would have chopped it somewhere. Got him. Threw him a changeup. 2 strikeouts for Gomez. Nice job in relief. No runs, 1 hit. And 1 man left. Middle of the 6th inning. It's the Orioles 6 and the Phillies 1. McDonald's with a double cheeseburger and small fry for just $2.50. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And buy Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at ChevyDealer.com. Home half of the 6th inning. Phillies trail at 6-1. Folks out at Ashburn Alley gotten their favorite food for the night. Their favorite hoagie, their favorite cheesesteak. It is a great spot. And here's Chase Utley to lead it off. Utley, Franco, Howard, 2, 3, 4. Inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Well, we put that graphic up during the open about the starters and the fact that they haven't won since the 23rd of May. I just think that's a remarkable note about how this team has struggled. And tonight, Kevin Correa is not going to get a win. The Phillies wind up coming back. Utley hits it to center field. And there's 1 out.
I mean, we're a week away from a whole month of the starters not getting a W.
And during that time, and I guess this isn't a surprise, but Papelbon, I think he's had 2 save opportunities during that time. Breaking ball, and it's a little high, 1-0. Franco singled to the right side his last time up. That popped up to third his last time.
Jimenez still pitching this game despite the 6-1 lead. First pitch breaking ball to Michael, second pitch splitter. And sticking to that game plan. That's what we saw Chris Tillman do last night.
Well, I think we used to watch Ubaldo Jimenez, and sometimes watch him from a distance. He was more effective than watching him in person against the Phillies. And he had this mid-90s fastball. He was all arms and legs. He's kind of figured out how to be an effective pitcher now with a 91 or even 92 sometimes mile-per-hour fastball. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, again, it all comes down to location. You can get away with more if you have that upper velocity, but as long as you can locate, it's 3/4 of the battle in my mind.
I mean, a 2.95 ERA is nothing to sneeze about.
Especially in that ballpark.
Dave Wallace is the veteran pitching coach. He's been, I want to talk about a guy that's been around baseball for a long time. Foul tip, 0-1. Two. Good spot. Swing and a miss. He fooled him on a breaking ball. Side is retired. 9 in a row retired by Ubaldo Jimenez. 7 strikeouts here tonight. Through 6. We're out to the 7th inning with the O's up 6-1. Time now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. Chris Parmalee hit another home run tonight. He has 3 in the first 2 games against the Orioles. It just so happens they've come against the Phils. Chase Utley scored the only run on a wild pitch for the Phillies. Kevin Correa went 5 innings. We begin the 7th inning. The Orioles up 6-1. And Manny Machado waves at the first pitch. It's 0-1. 2 ground outs and fly out to center field for Machado. Hitting .320 in his last 39 ball games. Freddy Galvis at shortstop takes a comfortable hop. 1 away. These lucky fans are tonight's Citizens 7. They will receive a prize pack courtesy of Citizens Bank. Good banking is simple, clear, and personal, and that's helping you bank better. Citizens Bank. Ryan Sandberg heading out to the mound. That's going to be it for Genmar Gomez. They're going to bring in the lefty, Elvis Araujo. So a pitching change here at Citizens Bank Park. The only lefty the Phillies have will come in to get some work when we return. Game. Well, this is Ben Revere showing off that new strong arm that gives him some outfield assists.
It's a great play. Like I said before, he gets behind the baseball, gets his momentum going towards third base. A little air underneath, but he does have a catcher running. But this is a phenomenal play by Ryan Flaherty. Dives into the stands, keeps his eye on it. And that is your Hyundai defensive plays of the game. Brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Yeah, we thought about luck of the Irish tonight. He's wearing the green with the clover. We weren't thinking Ryan Flaherty. But he did make a heck of a play. Elvis Araujo was the new pitcher for the Phils. 1-1 at ERA of 2.77. And he's facing Travis Snyder with 1 out here in the 7th inning. Phillies down 6-1. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. By the way, Ben, graduations are happening all over the Delaware Valley, all over the country. High school graduations, college graduations happened probably a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But our good friend Danny O'Rourke, who's part of the Phillies' outstanding clubhouse staff, he oversees the umpires, works with Frank Kopenbarger, Phil Sheridan, and the boys in the home clubhouse. His daughter, Darby, graduated from Cherry Hill East High School this afternoon. And she is heading on out to Rosemont College this fall to play soccer. And we want to wish Darby the best, and we hope she had a great day. She's got a chance to enjoy a great night with the family.
Nice. Congratulations to Darby and the O'Rourkes.
There's Parmalee. The back-to-back lefties up. Araujo trying to get through this 7th inning.
Jeez.
I think the Phillies were a little concerned, and I think any organization would be, about Araujo's development, because they kind of sped him up to come to the big leagues. You know, they picked him up as a free agent, major league free agent in the offseason, but he hadn't pitched above Double-A. And I think he's starting to kind of find a little bit of a niche. I mean, every once in a while he does that where he's a little wild, but he's got a really good fastball, as you see, at 95, and that breaking pitch is developing more and more.
I think he's starting to realize that he can pitch here and have success here. And if he can do that, move some feet. If you could throw a fastball in, you look at Jeff Locke for the Pirates. What makes him so effective against the Phillies lefties is he can throw that sinker down and in. Usually you think lefty on lefty, away, away, away. If you could throw that sinker down in the lefties, break some bats like that, that's just going to open up. And your slider doesn't even have to be that good to be effective with that pitch against a lefty.
Center field. Ben Revere has room. And that'll do it for the Orioles here in the 7th inning. So nice job by Gomez first, and then Araujo. Time to stretch here at Citizens Bank Park. The Phils down by 5. Dominic Brown swings at the first pitch against Ubaldo Jimenez. Out to shallow center field. And there's one away. Refreshing, great tasting Blizzard spring water is the new buzz around the water cooler. W.B. Mason offers free same-day delivery of 5-gallon Blizzard spring water bottles with no minimums or hidden fees. All right, Ben. I know you know this. It's too easy right now for Ubaldo Jimenez. 10 in a row he's retired. Rupp has struck out twice.
Well, we do talk about fastball command. That's what I see out of him, despite going 3-0 on Cameron. The fastball command is setting up the breaking ball. It's setting up the split finger. But I see him getting most of his outs with that fastball. He's pitching ineffectively very well to lefties.
First pitch strikes, and there's a bloop to right field, a base hit. First hit since the fourth for the Phils. And Cameron Rupp, whose playing time is increasing, is now 1 for 3. Phillies fans, next time you're looking to get great seats, get to StubHub, where there are no surprise fees at checkout. That's right. On StubHub, the price you see is the price you pay. StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of Phillies.com. As she's popped out, struck out, bunts toward third. That will be a base hit. I think he can do that more and more. I don't know why teams play him to pull the way they do. I guess on the ground he is more of a pull hitter, but he can do this more and more. He has good bat control.
Oh, his left foot was close to being on that plate. But you're right, you know, especially easy if you know a guy's going to be around the plate and throwing strikes. The bunt does not have to be perfect.
As Chris Davis showed the other night in Baltimore, his bunt was a pop-up down the third base line.
Yeah, that was an awful bunt, but it was effective.
0-1 to Galvis. 0-2.
You can see Cody Ashley's left foot here from that other angle. It was pretty close. I think he's just behind it there, Tom.
Knew exactly what he was doing.
That's right.
Toyota Major League Scoreboard. The Blue Jays are shutting out the Mets 3-0. Kevin Pillar, a home run, 2 RBIs. Dirt. Blue Jays are currently tied with the Orioles for third place in the American League East. The Mets, meanwhile, a game and a half ahead of Washington. In the air to right field. That's pretty well hit. Going back on it is Parmalee. It is gone! A 3-run home run! All of a sudden, it's a 2-run game. Freddy Galvis, his second home run of the year. He went down and got it. Yaka! 6-4, the Orioles on top. Stanley Wiedenhammer of Reading, PA, usually won $100 thanks to Freddy Galvis in a McDonald's home run jackpot.
That looked like a backdoor cutter. And that's not a pitch we've seen him throw against these lefties. He's been very effective with the sinker in on lefties, running it back over the plate, the breaking ball and the splitter. That looked like a backdoor cutter. Freddie, look at the head down on the baseball. That was a short swing.
Bullpen action. That's Chaz Rowe warming up for the Orioles. We haven't seen much of the Orioles bullpen, to be quite honest with you, the last couple of days. Dave Wallace out to the mound to talk to Jimenez. Well, obviously, they'd like to get at least this inning out of him. Cesar Hernandez is going to pinch hit. Freddy Galvis, his first home run since the 21st of April. That's okay. I mean, the Phillies aren't expecting a lot of home runs from Freddie. Here's Cesar Hernandez, and Hernandez takes a strike. It's 0-1. Cesar pinch hitting 222. Phillies have already used Blanco, who flied out to left.
Freddie got off to such a hot start. And then he really, I mean, for lack of better words, he struggled mightily.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, mightily. But you keep battling every day.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Hernandez. And he's down looking. 8 strikeouts for Jimenez.
I think we got to see Freddie turn it around a little bit in Pittsburgh, hit some balls hard. This is the two-seamer that runs back over the plate again. How many times have I said that tonight? You know, the two-seamer that runs back over the plate.
There's Ben Revere. It's outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Well, this lineup is probably set up nicely for Jimenez. He's really struggled against right-handed hitters, as strange as that is. Revere hooks it down the right field line. That one's going to the corner. Revere's going to get at least 2 out of it. He's thinking 3. Parmalee's got it in the corner. Revere's on his way to third, and he's going to get there sliding. His 6th triple of the year. And the tying run is coming to the plate. And that's going to be it for Jimenez. Buck Showalter's going to go get a left-hander, it looks like. No, he only had the right-hander warming up. He did signal left-hander, but he only had the right-hander Chaz Rowe warming up. So a pitching change for the Orioles. Ubaldo Jimenez is done after 6 2/3. Chaz Rowe is coming in. Phillies Alumni Luncheon. We'll recognize Pat Burrell, who will be inducted into the Phillies Wall of Fame on Friday, July 31st. Enjoy lunch at the Diamond Club. Photos of the 80 and 2008 World Series trophies on auction benefiting Phillies charities. On sale now. Tickets can be purchased by going to phillies.com/alumni luncheon. So Ubaldo Jimenez is done after 6 2/3. He'll take a seat next to Delman Young in the dugout. He is responsible for the runner over at third base. Here's Chaz Rowe. 11th ball game for Rowe. 2-0 with a 1.17 earned run average. There's Ben Revere taking his lead off third.
Get him in here, Chase. Just a 1-run ball game.
Back toward the middle. Flagged down with a bare hand by Rowe. The inning is a 3-run score, though, on a 3-run home run by Freddy Galvis. That draws the Phillies closer here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Second home run of the year for Freddy. Got it out front and let it ride. We'll go to the top of the 8th. Phillies trail the Orioles. More manageable now at 6-4. The provider of the Philadelphia Phillies, and by Toyota. Where will Toyota take you? Visit buyatoyota.com to find out. Toyota, let's go places. Top of the 8th inning, and Luis Garcia will be the new pitcher for the Phils. 31st game for Garcia, 2-2, a 4.03 earned run average. He's going to try to keep this at a 2-run game here in the top of the 8th. He'll face Chris Davis, Matt Wieters, J.J. Hardy. Davis is 0 for 3. Chase Utley comes charging in. And there's 1 away. With 1 out, Matt Wieters coming up. It's time for the Major League Notebook. Murph, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Presented by St. Joseph's University. And Alex Rodriguez is back in New York with the New York Yankees, taking on the Miami Marlins tonight and back in their lineup. And he comes into this series 5 hits shy of 3,000 for his career. Another milestone for A-Rod. And at last check, I just checked the box score, 2 for 2 in this game so far against the Marlins. So now just 3 hits shy of 3,000 career hits. He'll be the 29th player in Major League Baseball to get to that mark when he gets there. And Steven Strasburg for the Washington Nationals also pitched a rehab start this afternoon for the Double-A team in Harrisburg. He went 5 innings, allowed 2 runs, just 4 hits, 6 strikeouts. Said he felt very good. The plan for him is that we'll see how he is tomorrow. He'll throw his bullpen session down with the minor league team. And if he's still feeling good at that point, there is a chance that they'll bring him up next week to start in the Washington Nationals rotation at that point. So getting closer to getting back to the bigs and getting healthy is Steven Strasburg, guys.
All right, Murph, we appreciate that. No balls and 2 strikes to Matt Wieters, who's 2 for 3. Back toward the middle. And Freddy Galvis notched it into his glove. Easy play, 2 outs. All right, guys, well, bullpen's done its job. 1 hit so far. And they've now retired 8 consecutive batters. They got 1 more to go before the Phillies can bat in the bottom of the 8th inning.
The Phillies are to mount a comeback. I'm never say never, but it's going to be pretty hard against Britt. Their closers, very tough. Lefty, good hard mid-90s power sinker. They get something going next inning.
And it will be against another lefty, it looks like, at Brian Mattis.
Yep.
Who's warming in the pen as we speak. J.J. Hardy's 2 for 3.
I think you'll see Rowe stay in there for Franco and then bring the lefty in for Howard and Brown.
Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3. It's happened twice tonight. Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity, the official entertainment provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. Chase Utley near the second base bag. And a 1-2-3 eighth inning for Luis Garcia. That's 8 pitches, 9 in a row retired by the Phillies bullpen. Time for the bottom of the 8th inning. Your hair looks outstanding, young man. Phillies down 6-4. Athlete. Plus, the Eagles' Brandon Graham appears on Breakfast on Broad tomorrow morning from 6 until 8 on the Comcast Network. I'm not going to tell Dave Schultz he's not the toughest athlete in Philadelphia. Here's Maikel Franco to lead it off against Chaz Rowe. It's 1 ball and no strikes. You going to tell him that?
No.
(2009) Hall of Famer Dave Schultz broke his bat. And Flaherty will catch it around the second base bag. One out here in the bottom of the 8th. And here comes Buck Showalter. So there's the signal to the pen. And I do believe this time as he signals for the lefty that a left-hander is going to come into this ball game. Nice work, he says, to Chaz Rowe. Ryan Howard is due up. Another pitching change for the Orioles. This one here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ryan Madison pitched last night. Will get another chance. ballot now at Phillies.com. Voting is exclusively online and available on your computer, tablet, and smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Phillies.com. It is still the Royals and Mike Trout against everybody else in the All-Star game. Be held in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Can't wait to see the home run derby there. They're going to go through some balls.
Wouldn't mind seeing a home run derby here tonight for the Phils. They have one already. Ryan Howard can't hold up on a breaking ball. It's 0-1. Two. Kind of going along with everybody else when we said ooh on that one.
It's close.
Where did that hit?
Right off the knob.
I thought it hit right above his top hand, but I don't think it did. I think it's
right off the knob. Right off the knob.
Remarkable. Ryan might be a little fortunate on that one. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Check swing, 3-2. Dominic Brown is on deck. 1 man down. Bottom of the 8th inning. A little different pace to this game compared to last night's. Howard has struck out for the 3rd time.
It's a fastball. Here it is. Hit it. See, Ryan just kind of cut underneath that one.
Dominic Brown's thinking the same thing that Cody Ashley did. It's not a bad idea. I mean, you're trying to get the tying run to the plate. At least correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not a bad idea.
It's not. When you keep it moving. You know, solo home run here gets you within a run, yes, but you do bring the tying run to the plate. It did work. You'd most likely see a righty come in to face Cameron Rupp.
To left center field. That's pretty well hit. Low back. He's got room. Makes the catch right on the edge of the State Farm side. And the side is retired. Phillies go down 1-2-3. So the Orioles bullpen matches the Phillies bullpen. On to the 9th inning. Orioles lead it 6-4. Net proceeds will benefit the ALS Association, the Greater Philadelphia chapter. Cody is very proud. Cody and Angie both are very proud of that T-shirt. 6-4, Orioles on top. We'll move to the top of the 9th inning. Kenny Giles will be the new pitcher. Zach Britton is warming up in the bullpen for the Orioles, their outstanding closer. Giles 2-1, a 2.00 ERA. Ball, 1 strike to Ryan Flaherty, who was struck out twice today. He's also grounded out to second. Good pitch. Got him. 99 on that fastball from Giles. I think it's the first time this year we've seen 99 from Ken Giles.
I believe it is. And you had him right where you want him. Could have thrown slider or fastball. Pitch before, the slider really backed up on him. So they would just throw that fastball. Here it is. You're not going to catch up.
All right, David Lowe is now the hitter. As Flaherty goes back to the dugout. Delman Young, by the way, is out of the on-deck circle to pinch hit. There's Delman.
Tell you what, that 99 is nice to see.
To left field. Cody Ashe is playing shallow, but gets back in plenty of time for out number 2. And now Delman Young. Who somehow is leading the Orioles in outfield assists this year. He's always had a strong arm, but he's playing a lot more. A one-time fill. They gave it a shot. A 261 with the Phils in 2013. 8 home runs, 31 runs batted in.
Delman was wearing out the fans just to the left of the ball girl on the left field line today. I mean, wearing those fans out.
During batting practice?
He hooked ball after ball after ball in the stands. I felt bad for those folks down there.
Oh, I thought you meant he was John with them.
No, he kept hooking foul ball after foul ball down foul.
0-2 pitch coming to Delman Young. 99 again.
The reason I say that 99 is nice to see is because, yes, it's going to set up that slider even more, but there's a big difference. People say, is there really that big a difference between 95 and 99? We've seen Kenny pretty much sitting at 95 all year. Yes, there is. Between 90 and 95, big difference. Between 95 to 100, even bigger difference.
Got him with the slide. Well, there you go. That slider is at 87 miles an hour, so that's a 12-mile-an-hour difference alone. That's a dominant ninth inning for Ken Giles. 2 strikeouts for Giles in this inning. So last chance for the Phillies as we go to the bottom of the ninth inning. They trail it by 2. Deliveries for the Orioles tonight. It's a little different story, but still getting the job done.
And Farmley goes deep, picks up right where he left off last evening with a home run in the first inning off Kevin Correa. In the 5th inning, Snyder. This one is way gone. Into the Phillies bullpen, no less. For number 2. And this one is always good to see. Freddy Galvis going up top. We didn't show it there, but they are W.B. Mason deliveries of the game.
You wanted to edit the W.B. Mason deliveries of the game.
I was hoping we showed Freddy's.
Zach Britton's into the ball game. 17 saves for the Orioles. No wins, no losses. An ERA of 1.69. This Orioles bullpen has a 2.86 ERA as a team. And Britton's been one of the more dominant closers. Facing Cameron Rupp to start the bottom of the ninth. Rupp takes low 1-0.
I want the folks at home to really pay attention to the speed of the pitch. 2 things: the speed of the pitch and the sink on his fastball. It's straight down. There's nothing lateral about it. Take a pitch here, I would think, Tom.
3 balls, no strikes.
And that's why you do it right there. That pitch probably looked good to hit. On its way in, you say, oh, I can hit this. But you see that ball sink at the very last minute. It's going to be a ground ball.
Inside, ball 4. Leadoff batters aboard. It brings the tying run to the plate. Cody Ashley will be the batter. At some point, I think we'll see Jeff Francoeur. As we mentioned, Francoeur, he's pretty sore from last night for pitching those 2 innings, but would be available to pinch hit if the Phils need him. There he is. First strike. Swing and a miss, 0-2. 97 on that sinking fastball. to the right side. Davis has got it to second for one, and that's all they'll get. Britton didn't get over and cover in time. 3-6 on the putout, one away. And Freddy Galvis, who has a 3-run home run tonight, is coming to the plate.
That's hard for a power pitcher, especially a lefty, to get over that side if he's falling off towards the right.
An addendum to the W.B. Mason delivery of the game. Here we go. Freddie with a 3-run. Yeah, to right field.
And that is your third W.B. Mason delivery of the game, Tom.
You ask and you shall receive. Galvis batting right-handed, of course, with the lefty on the mound. Over to the left side. Machado has it go off his glove. Ashie's on his way to third. And Galvis will hold up at first base. Runners on first and third with one man down. Maybe that has opened up the door for the Phils.
Machado gator arm this or what? Right off the plate. No, he just couldn't reach it.
Well, they've scored a base hit, and now Francoeur will bat with a tying run at first base.
Francoeur just has to think up the middle here. Britton's not a guy you're able to elevate a ball on because he throws that power sinker. It's hard, it's heavy. Think up the middle. I know in your mind you're thinking as a hitter, I go up top here, we're all going home happy. And that's an easy trap to fall into. But a power sinker guy, you can't get too big on. Really have to focus up the middle.
I think he was looking to go up top.
As do I.
But as you said, it's hard to stop yourself from doing it. He does have those good numbers against Britton in just 6 at-bats. Ball, 1 strike to Francoeur. Runners lead off first and third here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Cracks it back towards second. This could be 2. They're going to tag Galvis and throw to first in time. And the ball game is over. Just like that. And the Orioles have won the first 3 games of this home-and-home 4-game series. And the Phillies' losing streak is now up to 9 as they lose it tonight by a final of 6-4. Chris Parmelee is our Chevrolet player of the game. It's a carryover from last night. He has 3 home runs in his first 2 games in an Orioles